So the question is, how does one market boring? And if you can just share your thoughts on that as well to build on what Yusuf said.
Yeah. So, you know, taking step back just a little bit, sitting in, United States tends to have an oversized influence on the world. So on one hand, the world is becoming a little bit more bipolar. It used to be a single superpower, but we're starting to see a little bit of, diversion from that. So Pakistani startups will have to also choose its friends and figure out what to do. I would like it to choose US. I'd like it to align itself with the West and Western investors. But I can tell you that I was getting called from the national security agencies telling me that, hey, on Friday, I was getting this call that they're already starting to see nefarious actors from those states that are not friendly to the US, starting to make inroads and trying to put money into US-based companies, acquire IP, small companies. So, some of those could be friends to Pakistan or Pakistani companies. You will have to choose your own, who you want to be friends with, but that would be available. Okay. I would encourage you to not do that, but that, I know founders will be looking at, China is suddenly more attractive than US in terms of investments into some companies. The second thing is that we're sitting at a very unique juncture. It's not just, somehow we didn't pay attention to 0 to 2% or 0 to 7%, which was really well stated by Salman, that there's risks, different levels, people take different kinds of risk or are allowed to take different kinds of risks. And perhaps startups never had to ask anybody for any allowance. So they take as much risk as they felt like taking. But we are in a situation where we have a war going on in Europe. Let's not forget that. There are thousands and thousands of people dying every day. We just kind of shrug our shoulders and move on. We're not done yet with Iraq, right? We're not done yet fully in the instability that exists in Afghanistan. If anything, Pakistan is politically highly unstable right now. I open up the newspapers in Pakistan and all I read about is whether he's going to court or coming out of court, whether he has 100 cases on him or not. And is this government going to, nonsensical statements about, for the last month, I can tell you every day, IMF deal will be signed in 2 days. It's $1.1 billion. There are probably people walking around in cafes in Palo Alto who can give you $1.1 billion, right? There's a serious issue that's happening around the world. We have a conflict with China. There's, Saudi Arabia and Iran signed a treaty sitting in China. That has ramifications as well. So I think there's a lot coming at us right now that we're trying to address, not just interest rates and inflation. In the middle of all of this, you talked about boring. I would change that word. It's not boring. It's actually what I called it yesterday, and I said it publicly. I've been thinking about it for a while. It's responsible investing. Okay. The idea that something, when you have free capital and you can give that money away to people and you can acquire customers with negative gross margins and negative unit economics, that might sound exciting for a while, but you can't make it up in volume. We all know that. The founders who were building these companies knew that. They knew it in the US and they knew it there, right? My Uber rides to the airport from Palo Alto used to be $30. They're about $70 now. Right? There's a reason for that, because suddenly they realized that as a public company, they have to show some kind of profitability. There were people in Pakistan, there were companies, the ideas that did not work even in the most developed economies, they were being tried out in Pakistan because, hey, why not? Because it was irresponsible investing. The idea of starting a business was more interesting than actually building a business. Okay, so I think what will happen is that people will start to think the way to market this is to talk about responsible investing. Responsible investing, when I said that yesterday, I got, hundreds of comments. It's not about investing in energy and climate and manufacturing or only healthcare companies. No, it's not that. You can build a gaming company, but you can build that company responsibly. Okay? You can start thinking about economics, but you can also start thinking about societal impact. TikTok in the US is really a Chinese spyware, right? But in China, kids are not allowed to use TikTok. Or in fact, if anything, they can only have educational content, and that also for like a certain number of hours per day, right? So they are, whether they're a responsible nation or not, but they are implementing top-down certain regulations. They cleaned out certain industries. If you're an ed tech company in China, you don't exist anymore, right? A lot of big construction companies that were, building out fake cities or actually empty cities have been wiped out. Right? They fix that top down. We in democratic places have to do this bottoms up. So I think you will see a pushback. We are feeling that pushback right now in Silicon Valley, right? We are seeing that tech used to be seen across the world as enabler of jobs, enabler of technology that connects people. It allows us to communicate. Look what we're doing. I did not spend a single dollar having this communication with you live on video. When I came to this country 27 years ago, it used to cost me $4 a minute to call my mother, just on a phone. right? That's what technology was seen as, a power of doing good. It has turned into, essentially extractive capital, extracting money out of the economy. Right? It's what we say about politicians in Pakistan. This is what's happening to tech around the world, and I think that needs to change. It's that can change. There's no shortage of problems. I think people will need to start thinking about how to build sustainable businesses. They could be small businesses and grow. The cockroach entrepreneur idea is going to become more popular rather than the flashy headlines. Every day we were reading about another company in Pakistan raising 5 million, 10 million, largest seed round, largest Series A round, largest Series B round. The emphasis went on the larger, right? And I think we saw that story in the US a few years ago, and that did not end well, right? So I think that is changing now. And the last thing I'd say, what Pakistani founders need to think about is that for the last 2 years, all the pitches I got from Pakistan, and rightly so, and of course I'm generalizing here, a lot of it was like, we have this growing population, we have a young population, we have this economy, we have everybody speaks English, everybody has mobile phones, and so hence we are servicing the local economy. I think we will have to start thinking about servicing the global economy. We will have to start thinking about what is our unique talent base? What do we have in, the large population that we have? We have tremendous talent. I think if we can give them access to international markets, if we give them exposure to international markets, if we give them the ability to compete at an international level, we're not going to have turtles all the way down kind of companies.